second chances. We can all forgive and move on. But you have no business trying to villainize the Minnesota Vikings for how any of this situation has played out. Just take some accountability for your actions. Be grateful and thankful that this team still wants you on their team. Most organizations wouldn't. You wouldn't have the choice. And ultimately, you have to base your decision based off of whatever you think is best for you. And that's fine. But don't base your decision out of any misguided disgust and displeasure with the Vikings organization, because that's just simply unfounded. And we're all over it. So let's just move on, with each other or without each other. Whew, all right. Man, that was a big meet this week. But all right, now that we've got the meat wrapped up, we're going to have to get started on some quickies, huh? Or at least the quickies that we didn't already sneak in to the show. Well, I guess that would have just been the soccer quickie. But, all right, we'll start with a quick quickie. Yeah, quick quickie. NASCAR last weekend. Jimmy Johnson won in Atlanta. And second place was Harvick, and third place was Dale Jr., which was the same second and third place as we had in Daytona. And then in fourth place was the winner of the Daytona, Joey Logano. 24-year-old, by the way, started racing when he was 16. Prodigy that's finally starting to come into his own this year. So if you're a racing fan, keep watching him. And then also Gordon on his farewell final full-time racing season wrecked on the race, similar to the way he did at Daytona as well, and he finished in the 40s. But all right, that's what I got for NASCAR news. So there you go, NASCAR fans. You're welcome. All right, next quickie we'll go to men's college basketball. Kentucky survived a huge scare in Georgia versus the Bulldogs last night. But they held on to win 72-64 and extended their perfect undefeated season to 30-0. They have one more game coming up against Florida. Florida's not very good. They should win that fairly easily. And it's definitely looking like Kentucky will either finish the entire season as national champions undefeated or have their one and only loss occur somewhere in March Madness. And I got to tell you, based off of what I've seen of the college basketball season this far, if they do go all the way in the tournament, it will be an extremely impressive run, because there are quite a few really good college teams this year, such as Duke and Villanova. Gonzaga's really good. Wisconsin's really good. Kansas is all right. But lots of good teams, lots of good players, and Madness is going to be hot this year. Also from last night, Kansas survived. Number 9 ranked Kansas survived number 20 ranked West Virginia in overtime at home. Watched that one. It was a great game. Really thought West Virginia was going to pull it out. But they didn't. They'll still look to be in the tournament, however. Also last night, Villanova survived a close one. They're ranked number 4. They barely beat Creighton, who was unranked. They won that game by 4 points, 76-72. And number 20 unranked Butler lost last night to unranked Georgetown. So there was an upset for you amongst a bunch of close upsets, near upsets. And one final college basketball note, the Princeton women's basketball team is also undefeated this season, as well as the Kentucky men's team. So it is quite possible that we could have not one, but two, both men's and women's champions this year be perfect undefeated teams. I don't know if that's ever happened before. I highly doubt that it has, considering it's fairly rare for a men's team to go perfect. But I don't know. Feel free to look that up for me and let me know on Facebook or Twitter if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But that'll wrap up college basketball quickie. All right, let's squeeze in some hockey here. The Wild won the other night over the Senators 3-2 in a shootout, and they won the shootout 3-2, by the way. So Wild continuing to get back onto their winning ways. They also beat the Predators last week in Nashville, who was the best team in the Western Conference, and that was a great-looking road win for us after the frustrating and confusing home loss the game before that to the Oilers. So it was great to see us rebound from that home loss and get back to playing great hockey telling you, Wild going to make the playoffs as long as Dobby stays hot and Parisi's out on the ice. They can make some noise in the playoffs. Just saying. But anyway, looking to the rest of the league for our hockey news here. The Eastern Conference race is as tight as it can be, with the top 7 teams all being between 80 and 87 points. So, wow, great play there in the Eastern Conference. And the seeding race in that playoff is shaping up to be pretty impressive. And moving back over to the West, you've got the Nashville Predators now tied for the first place spot, number 1 seed, most points, with the Anaheim Ducks. Predators been in that top spot for the vast majority of the season so far, but the Ducks now are tied with 89 points, as well as the Nashville Predators. And you also got the Blues hanging around there with 85 points too. Blackhawks 81 points. They got some injury issues with Patrick Kane, but still playing fairly decent team hockey. You also got the Jets and the Wild and the Canucks in there, wrapping out the bottom half of your playoff teams right now. But yeah, the Predators lost 4 in a row. They've lost 4 games in a row, So they are really struggling. And Ducks have won 3 in a row. So Wild have won 3 in a row as well. And the Phoenix Coyotes, if anybody listens a Phoenix Coyote fan, hopefully one person I know is, and they've lost 10 in a row. So hey, could be worse if you're a hockey fan. Unless you're a Coyotes fan, then it almost couldn't be worse. But anyway, there's your hockey quickies. All right, a few baseball quickies here. Josh Hamilton not going to be playing anytime soon. So till at least May or June with his injury, and he also went to the league office and confessed to relapsing on cocaine and alcohol. That is not his first violation if you know anything about Mr. Josh Hamilton. So he won't be playing anytime soon, maybe second half of this season if he's lucky. A-Rod's in spring training for the Yankees, got a single in his first game. Yay, A-Rod. That's right, I just said yay, A-Rod. I didn't mean it, but I said it, so. Let's see, Twins. Not a whole lot going on with the Twins right now. Phil Hughes named day 1 starter. Paul Molitor, new manager this year. We'll give you more Twins previews as it gets closer to the baseball spring opener. Final baseball quickie. This is great, by the way. The Philadelphia Phillies lost a spring training game to the University of Tampa. They're a Division II college. Now, this ain't the first time anything like this has happened. It was 4 years ago that a college team beat a pro team in one of their spring training games. But man, if you're a Phillies fan, you might be looking to adopt a different team for this year. If they're losing to Division II college teams, how are they going to beat a major league team? Man, terrible sign if you're a Phillies fan. So, anyway, that's all we got for baseball quickies. All right, moving on to basketball quickies. Got a great late game tonight when the show is going on. Clippers versus Trailblazers. Check that out if you're into basketball. Western Conference is just incredible this year, as always. And the it seems like almost every team in the playoff race has an MVP candidate or 2. So, anyway, if you're looking for something to watch late tonight, that should be a good game. I recommend that. T-Wolves won with Kevin Garnett in his debut back last Wednesday night when the show was airing. It's great to have KG back. And he does even seem a little bit resurgent himself, being back in Minnesota. But I can't say it enough. Welcome home, KG. It's great to have you back. Let's see. Utah Jazz are hot. They're 5-1 since the trade deadline. So for all you Utah Jazz fans out there, congratulations. And then we'll close basketball quickies out with the greatest, worst thing I've ever seen in sports, if that makes any sense. Remember this name, Alexei Shved. This is my YouTube gem for the week. They tend to be basketball, but I'm telling you, if you have not seen this yet, Alexei Shved, New York Knicks. Without question, the worst shot? Pass? Ever? I'm not quite sure which one it is. That's part of the reason it's so great to watch. But be warned, if you do watch this video, it is painfully hilarious. I spent probably a good 5 to 10 minutes laughing almost to the point of my sides hurting and rewinding the DVR over and over again to watch this play. It's hilarious. And let me know if you think it's a shot or a pass, or if it's a completely new thing that hadn't even been done before, and you have a name for it. Let me know. But you can do that on Twitter at BDST Show, or you can do that on the Facebook. But that's going to wrap it up for Quickies here, and we'll be coming into our final segment here in just a moment. Thank you so far for listening tonight, and just a reminder, you're listening to Balls Deep Sports Talk with Scotty Ball here on Northern Lights Radio at WNLMradio.com. All right, so we got just a couple minutes of show left, and you know what that means. It means it's time to go deep, because on Balls Deep Sports Talk here, there's no such thing as too deep. So for tonight's Balls Deep Thought of the Day, we're going to bring it back to the lady who started our show, Miss Rhonda Rousey. Now, for this week, we'll do it a little special. We're going to break the Balls Deep Thought of the Day down into two parts. We'll have the Balls Deep Statement, and then we'll have the Balls Deep Question, and that will comprise the Balls Deep Thought of the Day. Now, the Balls Deep Statement of the day, inspired by Miss Rhonda Rousey, who we talked about at the beginning of the show, is this. I feel, personally, that Rhonda Rousey has the potential to be one of the most historically impactful athletes in all of sports history. Now, I am by no means saying she has accomplished that as of today. Not even remotely close. No, that is not what I am saying. But the potential to be one of those very, very few historic sports figures. I feel she has it. And I'm not even talking Michael Jordan's. I'm not talking Babe Ruth's. That's not what I'm talking. I'll tell you what I'm talking in just a second, but I better get to the deep question before I get to that. So, that was the deep statement. And here's the deep question. Are we ready as a society, as a culture here in America, are we ready to see Rhonda Rousey, or any woman for that matter, but it's going to be Rhonda Rousey if it happens. Are we ready to see Rhonda Rousey fight a man in a competitive, sanctioned UFC mixed martial arts fight? Is that something we can handle? Or are we even remotely ready for that? Because Rhonda Rousey's ready for that, and we better get ready, because if her level of skill and expertise cannot be remotely matched where she's competing at now, then isn't it only right in the ideas of gender equality that she be placed fairly somewhere where she can compete, have competition, challenge herself? Now, think about it this way. If it was any other sport, would it even be an issue? The NHL, hockey is an extremely fast, violent sport. Hockey's had women in it. The NHL has had professional women hockey players. No, you want to talk dangerous sports? Is there anything more dangerous than NASCAR? Than driving a giant hunk of metal 200 miles an hour? Danica Patrick races with the men in NASCAR, and people would fight for her right to do that. If a woman was physically capable, if a woman somewhere could throw heat in the 100-mile-an-hour range, a wicked curve, a deceptive changeup, should she not have the opportunity to try out for a Major League Baseball team? Girls in high school play on football teams with the boys on occasion. If a woman was good enough and physically able, would we deny her the opportunity to play in the NFL simply because it's too dangerous, because she's a woman and she's competing against men? So, along those lines, how can you argue that Rhonda Rousey can't compete against a man in her sport? It is a sport. It should all come down to one simple fact. If Rhonda Rousey is good enough to fight men, be competitive, and that's where her skill level is at, for her appropriate level of competition, then by no means should she be denied the